Hi, welcome to the Personal Details Podcast, where every detail of your journey matters. I'm your host, 3, inviting you on a path of self-discovery, growth, and a touch of magic. Each episode, we start with a powerful affirmation, setting the tone for our time together. Then we delve into the Crystal Gem Zone, where we explore the energies of the universe through the lens of beautiful healing crystals. We'll shine a light on inspiring businesses, share personal stories, and dive into trending topics. And of course, I'll be updating my Spotify playlist, Play the Details, with tracks that keep us grooving through life. So let's dive into the details together. Today's crystal gem is tying in with today's theme of love and relationships. And today's crystal gem zone is the Rose Quartz, the stone of unconditional love. Rose Quartz is known as a healing crystal and the stone of unconditional love. It's believed to emit strong vibrations of love that are thought to support emotional and relationship healing, inspire compassion, and boost feelings of peace and calm. The Rose Quartz is a pink stone, not exactly crystal clear, but kind of solid and milky rose color. It's known for being a crystal of unconditional love and compassion. It carries a divine, loving energy that allows you to be receptive of love from others, as well as being more compassionate and loving to yourself, which has been a theme of this episode. The Rose Quartz imparts a gentle healing energy. It's soothing, calming, and nurturing. It acts as a support as you move through healing old wounds, dissolving old traumas, fears, emotional boundaries in a tender, comfortable way. It brings peace. The Rose Quartz carries a deeply peaceful and harmonious relationship energy. Its nourishment and nurturing that the Rose Quartz imparts allows you to truly feel content and fulfilled within yourself. The soft pink light emitted by the Rose Quartz stone encompasses your heart chakra, aura, and physical heart with the energy of love. This light removes loneliness, sadness, and despair, filling it with joy, contentment, and tranquility. The Rose Quartz can be found in many different ways. As a towering cylindrical crystal, it can be found as a sphere, a rough, unpolished specimen, and or many other ways for the Rose Quartz to be found. You can wear it as a jewelry, close to your heart, as a pendant. You can have it incorporated into a ring or earrings, but definitely consider putting the Rose Quartz into your crystal pouch. Again, through this episode, we've talked about, am I missing out, married or single? Well, if you're getting over a relationship, Rose Quartz will help you heal. And if you're looking to be more open and receptive to love, Rose Quartz will help with that as well. In today's episode, we are talking about married or single. What are we really missing out on? I'd like to open this topic with an affirmation. And it goes something like this. I'm exactly where I need to be. Every relationship, whether with myself or others, is a chance to grow, love, and thrive. So, considering all of that, first, I'd like to break down the myths of being married or single? Married people that I've spoken with when I brought this topic up have said, sometimes I miss it. I miss the freedom. Single people say, sometimes it gets a little lonely. What I want to do, though, is dispel the whole myth that the grass may be greener on the other side. For singles, there's an idea that they're missing out on companionship, stability, and social validation. For married folks, the belief is that they're missing out on freedom, independence, and spontaneity. But what does missing out mean to you? Are we comparing our reality to someone else's highlight reel? Can fulfillment exist independent of relationship status? So, what does missing out mean to you? Well, being that I don't have a panel of speakers, I'll let you know what I think. This comes from my own thoughts, but also my interaction with others. And what I've come to conclude is that what does missing out mean to you depends on what is important to you right now. For me, missing out means not having the choice or opportunity, not giving myself the chance, not opening myself up to opportunity. And then I want to say that we have to consider certain elements in any life, in any relationship, whether single or paired or married. You cannot find fulfillment in someone else's life. That means to stop comparing. Stop using social media as the way you measure things. Stop considering where your friends are, where your parents' friends are, where your parents think you should be, where your parents are in their lives, and start using your own meter. Is it serving your ultimate good? Is it serving your good? Is it giving you thoughts of happiness, love, and fulfillment? Because ultimately, that's what you should define missing out as. How does it feel to you? How does it measure up in your life? I'd like to share quotes from the audience perspective. These are a single person and a married person's perspective. And it says, I'm single and loving it because I worry I'll regret not having a partner in life. Mark. I'm single and loving it, but sometimes I worry I'll regret not having a partner later. And then the married person says, marriage has brought me so much joy, but I miss having the freedom to make decisions for me. Okay, two different perspectives of two people, one in a single relationship with themselves, and one from someone who is married. I offer you this. It is what it is. It is where you are. Do you want to be there for the rest of your life? Or will this change? I think that's what's important. The feeling of missing out may be more than just a feeling based on a relationship. It may be due to other things in our lives. Like, are we financially where we want to be? Are there things in our lives that we wanted to actually finish before we got married? Or did we marry the wrong person? I have had the opportunity to be married very early in life, and I actually did not do it. Am I happy I didn't? Yes, I am. And I say that because I probably was not ready. I may have been in love and thought about the security of being married, but not so much the sacrifice that it would take of being someone's wife and possible mother. And sacrifice is not a bad thing, but you have to be ready for it, right? And I don't feel at the time I was ready for that sacrifice. Because I look at my life now and I am so happy to be traveling and so happy to spend and gift the way I want to, right? I have always been a strong believer in choice. And you've heard me say this in other episodes, and I will of course say it again because it's a core value of mine. Having choice is so thoroughly important to me. It's like breathing. To not have it means like I'm dying in some way, right? But I want to make the choice. I want to have the choice, not that I feel compelled to. And so not choosing to be married early and be single later in life. Many people think it's such a curse to be single at 30 or single at 40. But it depends on what you want and what you need. That's what it's really about. What you want and what you need. If that means right now, traveling, making money, securing the bag, as they say, or having financial stability in your life, then that's it for you right now. Are you missing out? Possibly, but only if you feel like you're missing out. Don't let other people tell you you're missing out. Don't compare yourself to their social media. Don't look at where you thought you would be. You know, some people make a big plan based on where they think they should be, and then life just lifes, and you are where you're supposed to be. So if you're married, congratulations, work hard at it. I hope you have a partner that's compatible with your quirks and your needs and your wants, and you are as compatible, giving and compromising with them. So that if you don't want to be lonely and single and mingling, you don't have to be. Because the other thing someone said is, I'm so glad I am not having to date in this day and age because it's trash. Now here, I'd have to agree. There's definitely a difference in values from even the 2000s, right? Dating apps are more prevalent, but now they're full of, basically it's like a sex app looking for trash, looking for quick fixes, looking for short-term investment. It's hard to find men who are in tune with themselves, financially stable, and not worried about the next person, the next trend, their social media feed. This goes for men and women. Let me not say it's hard to find men. It's hard to also find just quality people, you know? And by quality, I mean like there's some standards in things. Nowadays, there's so much don't judge, don't make people feel bad, don't shame. I mean, some of it is relevant and great for everyone's mental health, but at the same time, it takes away the essence of people being themselves. So what we fall in love with and what we see are not usually the person's like real self. What's posted and what's shown because of this need to fit in and be appreciated is sometimes makes you kind of have to be fake or super protective or put up your security because people are afraid on a privacy and security level that they are losing themselves to others who may infiltrate them for financial gain or to steal your identity. So it is trash in this dating pool because you never know what you're going to get. It's worse than Russian roulette. It's worse than a box of chocolates. At least you know you're getting chocolates, right? Some may be filled with different things, but these days you don't know what you're going to get. People out here are not dating because they want to be dating and they're available. They're dating for fun and to escape. People out here are dating for romance and love, children, and a future, planned together with someone who's ready. So I don't want to knock it like there's no good things, but I definitely feel the goals of most have changed. I feel there's an ability to hide and there's an ability to have less emotions behind these apps and behind social media. Now you can text someone, so calling seems like such a big deal. And it makes us accept certain things that should be standard but are now like the enhancement. Someone calls you, they're number one in the book. Whereas that's all we had was the telephone call. Now it's like people are texting for weeks on end. Stupid stuff. Good morning. Good morning is standard. It is not a plus. You know? And I think because of how we are set up socially now, there's certain things we accept as plus, which should be standard. So I applaud those folks that are already married and loving it. And if you're married and feeling like you're missing out, what I would say is find new ways to keep what you got, keep the spark, keep the way you were, and find time for you and let them find time for them. Because you know what made you fall in love with that person was their personality, not your personality. Hopefully not, because that's a little narcissistic to think you wanted to fall in love with someone exactly like you. Personally, I would be bored. I like differences. I like choices, and I like someone who can teach me things. So if you're exactly like me, it just wouldn't work. That's just me. So, in conclusion with this topic, married or single, am I missing out? That is a personal detail I leave up to you to answer. We'll be right back. Welcome to the personal details segment. In this segment, I basically give an update on where I am. I have, in the last episode, I do believe if I did not, let me do that now, update you on my weight loss journey, and it has been awesome. I have lost some weight. Many of it from walking, some of it medication, some of it stress. But in either case, I've been intentional and have gone about losing some weight. I do say that whatever reason. So this is the Personal Details podcast. So here's my personal update. In this section, I call it the Personal Details. And the reason it's called that is because it's literally my details. This time around, I haven't lost any additional weight. Not great, but hey, what you gonna do? I have traveled somewhat, and I'm closing out the year with one of my longest flights ever. My flight to Cairo, Egypt. I went to Cairo with a travel group of, I believe, 40 other people. And the experience itself was very interesting, very enlightening, lots of laughs, lots of fun. Probably my second or third group trip. And if you know me, I'm not a fan of group activities. I love being off on my own exploring. But I took the leap of faith and to support family member, to support my sis on her birthday trip. Being in Egypt has always been probably on everyone's bucket list to go to that part of Africa where a lot of things began. It was definitely great. But one thing about this trip that I won't forget was the poverty and the some of it in Cairo City, to be specific. You saw a lot of torn down buildings, infrastructure that definitely needs rebuilding. And it reminds you that this area is often plagued by upheaval. It's beautiful and gorgeous, what they're doing with some parts of the city. But there's this mixing of old and new that's kind of strange to feel as you drive from the airport to our hotel. We did have guides, we did have escorts as we went to our different destinations. Of course, we saw the pyramids. We saw, we visited perfume vendors, we visited spice vendors, we had a Nile River cruise in the evening that we first arrived. It was a white party celebrating our Caribbean culture, and that was great. I love that. One of my favorite things was also visiting the Egyptian Museum, the current one. There is one being built that the items will be transferred to. My trip to Cairo was definitely short, but a great way to close out the year, and I do not regret that. What I can say is be prepared if you take Egypt Air for not great service. The flight to Egypt was rough, abrupt, and underwhelming. The flight crew was rude, dismissive, non engaging, even as you enter the plane. The plane itself is older and needed a definite upgrade. No Wi Fi. The earplugs are definitely different than any of others. They're two-prong earphones. The seats are small and the tray tables are definitely in your lap. The passengers on the flight to Cairo were just different, to say the least. On the way back to New York, the flight was better. The service was not as rude, yet still not as engaging. But they didn't just drop food in your lap. They didn't just bypass you. They answered when you called, and that could be appreciated. You do have to get up and walk around on the plane. It is a 10-hour flight at a minimum. And I must say the Egyptian pilot landed the plane both times very smoothly. The temperature in Cairo went from 70 plus degrees to 49 degrees on some evenings. So that's something you have to look out for. All in all, this year, I was pleasantly, um, I'm presently content with all the traveling that I was able to do. Shout out to my team at work and my supervisor who allow for vacations to refresh yourself without feeling guilty. So that's my personal detail update. I'm not going to go much further into things, but I hope to have um, more updates in the future. I must say, as we're closing out December, I hope to record again, but in case I don't, it's been bittersweet. There's been some definite highlights as I started the year in various ways. But there are things in my life that I'm ending without much finesse or success. So the journey continues. And even though politically, I think there is some upheaval going on in the United States that I don't think anyone's really happy, so to speak, right? And it's not because one side won over the other. It's because we're not in a good place. I'm sorry. There's increasing prices, there's increase in rent. Food is at an all-time disgust. There's recalls on so many things, not just food. Parts to vehicles and planes, and it's just like standards are lower. What's going on? Immigrant families are definitely fearful at this time, or I should say migrant families, or those that are moving without all their paperwork. And we must pray for them. We must have compassion because at one time, in somewhere in our history, someone in our, you know, elders fled from somewhere or left from somewhere willingly to find a better way of life. And it's just disgusting that we have these man-made boundaries in which we stop people from moving and basically enslave others for our own means. And we must really pray for the world because there is an energy of healing needed, of compassion needed in this world today. That's my personal details update. We'll be right back. We also have an official playlist on Spotify for this podcast. It's called Play the Details. Play the Details. I'll put the link in the show notes. And this episode, we are adding Keisha Cole's Let It Go, Toni Braxton, Man Enough for Me, and Real Love by Mary J. Blige. So those are the 3 songs that are being added to the Personal Details official playlist. Again, it's called The Personal Details, and we've added 3 songs this episode. Please do take a listen. There's a mix of songs. It just depends on my mood and the topic of the show. So being that this was about missing out in relationships or not missing out and being in a relationship or being single, the 3 songs I took were about mainly relationships, feelings, letting go. So again, that was Toni Braxton, He Wasn't Man Enough for Me. Let It Go by Keisha Cole featuring Missy Elliott. Real Love by Mary J. Blige from the What's the 411 album. Be right back. So that's it. We have wrapped. This is the end. I hope you had a great time with this episode. I haven't recorded in a while and I appreciate everyone who has made it this far. Please do share this with a friend. 2024 is coming to an end and I hope to work on even more episodes. I am still looking for guests to be a part of this show to talk about whatever you want to talk about, whatever interests you in your life, your work, or any other personal detail. Follow me on Instagram or Spotify, the Personal Details Podcast. Also, keep in mind, I do have a playlist on Spotify. It's called Play the Details. This information you can find in the show notes, but I do want to say, make sure whatever day you're having, it's one that you can be proud of or that you can fix or get better tomorrow. Again, I'm your host 3. This has been another episode of the Personal Details Podcast.